And we said, we think there's a better way. So we proposed an alternative. But in both cases, the deficit number, the number that we have a constitutional obligation to close, a constitutional obligation to look to our constituents and say, when we have a deficit, we took action to eliminate that deficit, just as you would at your homes or in your businesses. That plan was scoffed at, frowned upon, and criticized. Fair game. Should be. But what was the alternative? What is the alternative that we were presented here with today that we are about to vote on? Well, let me review, if I may. To close that $466 million deficit, we start off with the good news, so to speak. The good news being that because our revenues are so poor, the planned tax decrease, sales tax decrease, that little bit of hope that we were holding out for small businesses and consumers to drop our sales tax from 6 to 5.5%, that would have cost us approximately $129 million in the revenue, that's not going to take place. So our $466 million deficit was closed at least by $129 million. The plan before us says we'll go further to close that debt, and how will we do it? We're going to raise taxes. The very thing we promised as part of a package in August, we ain't going to do it. So we're going to increase the estate tax. But we don't have enough time to collect that money this fiscal year. In fact, the best we could hope for is just under $6 million. So to make up for it, the rainy day, the savings account money, that one-time revenue that we'll never get back again, that we used to balance next year's budget, we got to take that and use it this year, and that's $70 million. Also, we took some transfers from other accounts and came up with $27 million. They're called increased revenue. Oh, they're not necessarily tax increases, but they're money that we didn't have in our original budget, so it's sort of new money, and it's about $27 million. And then we made some cuts, actual cuts. Those totaled $12,438,172. That's what we cut. $466 million deficit, and we cut a little over $12 million. But if you do the math, that's still very much shy of the 466. So we say, well, the governor made cuts. She made rescissions. We criticize her for doing it, but we'll take them. Oh, we criticize her because it might cut jobs, and it's hurting a program here and hurting a program there. And we might actually go up to those programs in various towns and say, that awful governor, look at the cuts she made. But guess what? We'll take them. We need the money. We got to close this gap. So we take about $66 million of her rescissions and cuts. Well, we're still shy. So then we look at the CBAC agreement. And we say, well, if you look at the CBAC agreement, because our revenues plummeted so much, the CBAC agreement allows us to underfund, not pay the employees' pension fund by $100 million. There's money. We save it that way too. We'll actually save money by not paying the pension. We already are underfunded in that pension. But what the heck? It's $100 million. And when you add all those things up, we're still $50 million shy of closing the budget deficit with a little more than 6 months to go. So after we vote on this bill and we wish everyone a happy holiday and a happy new year, we go home and see our families and that head hits the pillow. Can we say we did our job? Did we do our job? I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. Because our job right now is tough. Oh, it ain't easy. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough for us. It's tough for the people we represent. The 70+ thousand people who are out of work, the 92,000 businesses that closed their doors, the people who lost their savings accounts, the people who are in jeopardy of losing their homes. And all they expect out of us is some consistency, some trust, some responsibility, and most of all, that we're going to do our job. Because we got to do something. We cannot do nothing. We have to do something. What we're about to vote on today, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of nothing. Because the only way that we are going to eat into this deficit and the deficits in the future is by cutting back the amount of money we spend. You can't spend more than you make, and you can't borrow more than you pay back. We've learned it since we were kids at our parents' knee. You can't do it and get away with it. And we're not going to get away with it.